Back to school time continuing. Not every student, of course, is excited about going back to school. It is natural for some children to have pre-first day jitters, but sometimes those jitters can be a sign of a bigger issue. Houston's only TV health reporter, Haley Hernandez, is with us this morning. Haley, this is something to watch for even after the first day of school, right?
Yeah, Owen. So, back to school nerves and anxiety, it can be worse than just a one-day ordeal. Some kids may show behavioral problems or signs of anxiety. So here are ways that you can help. Walking around the school getting comfortable with the campus is one suggestion from Texas children's psychologist Dr. Catherine Gallagher. She says making the new school year a gradual change instead of an abrupt one can help ease the transition. But since that's not always possible, she says you can try easing into the day with an earlier morning to help prepare little ones without being stressed.
Allowing time to encourage them to get to school. And then I think setting the expectation, being kind but consistent.
For the older kids, she recommends good communication and, most importantly, listening to their concerns and knowing where their information is coming from. She says frequent checking and scrolling online can trigger or reinforce anxiety.
What are they interpreting from what they're reading? Because that, that can be different based on how they're processing that information. And then trying to, again, look for positive items, takeaways. How can you both model and reinforce a sense of, hey, we don't always know the answer to everything, but we're going to be okay with uncertainty.
I love when she says that we're going to be okay with uncertainty. They addressed that. They addressed social media. All last night, Texas Children's held a Facebook Live where they discussed those topics and more on how to cope with back to school anxiety. That Facebook Live was led by their pediatric mental health experts. They talked about, as I mentioned, social media. They talked about Uvalde and whether or not you should even be talking to your kids about that topic. And they also talked about sharing in the excitement, in the small things, the excitement of new clothes and new backpacks and new pens. That can mean a lot to kids, right? So make them happy by sharing in their excitement. You can go directly to my Facebook page if you want to watch all of that on that link.
Yeah, dig a little deeper into it and get more.
Yeah, they really shared a lot of good tips. Have your kids been nervous about going back to school?
It's interesting. I think my oldest daughter is super excited. She started high school this past year. So they, of course, HISD, they all go back Monday. So going into 10th grade, getting that experience under her belt, I think was, very good for her confidence.
Oh, and I didn't even realize she was in high school. That's big. That's a big change. Yeah, even with my little ones, I have a 1 and a 2-year-old. Even when they move to a different classroom within their daycare, I notice about a 2-week minimum 2-week transition period. So I know that this can be hard for some kids, and I'm kind of actually dreading the grade school years when I'm like, well, how long is it going to go on when they're a little bit older?
Well, I think through time they just get better and better at it, and it kind of depends on the kid too. I mean, growing up, I moved every 5 minutes, so my kids who've been able to remain with some of their friends through elementary school, that has a different outcome too. So it kind of, I guess each kid's different. I guess the other question I would have, and maybe you know this answer, maybe not, is how do you know when it's like, okay, first day jitters versus, look, this has been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's becoming a problem.
Yeah, when do we know when we need to seek help? Right. So if your child has disrupted sleep, they said for long periods of time, like they really can't get to sleep. If they're not interested in anything, any of their normal interests, that can be the same thing as withdrawing from friends and family. If they're just sad, if they're having trouble going to school, the big question I think is, as new generations of parents come up, we've maybe heard these tips before, but for us new parents, it's like, okay, so what do we do? If we notice those signs, what's our first step?
What do we do?
Well, they say that your first step can be your pediatrician. And I think what I'm learning with my own children is that the pediatrician is there for more than just height and weight and to make sure that you're growing on time or on schedule, but they have enormous amounts of resources. So any questions that you might have, just mention it to your pediatrician, see if there's somebody more that you can talk to. There's tons of free help out there. Just talk to them first and they can probably guide you to the right resources.
Yeah, these great pediatricians have a unique way of putting everybody at ease. I feel like definitely myself, my wife, and the kids.
Right? Yeah. It's yeah, they're definitely there for our mental health as well. So always start with your pediatrician. Sometimes your school counselor can be a good help help too. School counselors have all of the community resources, so I would definitely just mention it to them and say, like, we're really struggling more than what I think is normal.
And hey, from one parent to another, you do your best just to keep that communication going with your kids at any age. I mean, just even as soon as they start communicating, you just ask them every day.
And that's
specifics. What happened today? How was today?
Yeah.
Anything fun happened? Something funny happened? Something interesting happened? Get in there with it.
See, you have all of the really insightful questions nailed. That's exactly what you're supposed to do, because sometimes they might not be able to express what they're feeling. They're just acting out, and you don't really know why. But to pinpoint it, ask more open-ended questions.
Dig
just like
into
you
it.
said.
If you need some help, like you said, pediatricians.
Thanks, Owen.
Haley, it's
You're
always
the
good
best.
to see you.
Yeah,
Fridays
good to see you too.
our Fridays with Haley. You're going to a healthy weekend.
Friday chat.
Yes.